these streets. There are really good examples of how people have taught each other, ministered to each other, clothed and fed each other, because particularly in the African American community, we've always done that. So amplify those stories. But
Name an animal that best describes the Democratic Party.
But I do think that Congress was very aligned on their messaging with the bill that was passed in the House. And I think that they are very aligned, and they're out there and talking to their communities and their constituents. And I think they need to be aligned on that and continue to stay aligned on they.
Welcome to the Reaction Radar. Did the Democrats just drop $20 million to win back young men? Or is this another desperate cash grab? Let's break this down.
The midterms fast approaching, and a full 6 months after November's electoral drubbing, the Democratic Party appears to still be in fact-finding mode. The New York Times reports that party donors and strategists have been gathering at luxury hotels to discuss how to win back working-class voters.
If you're spending $20 million to study what would engage the common person, I think you're overspending.
And they're spending $20 million on an effort to try to figure out how to speak to young men. Quote, it is codenamed Sam.
Codename Sam. Hey, Democrats, for a very low price of $599.99, at least 6 easy payments, I can give you some hints. Contact me. Reaction Radar. Look it up.
Short for Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan, and promises investment to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces.
They're going to study how to talk to Americans now? Wow.
I want to bring in Meghan Hays, a former special assistant to President Biden, and Basil Smikle is back with me. You're both smiling. Donors and strategists, Meghan, have been gathering at luxury hotels to discuss how to win back working class voters. The Times says these new projects can read like anthropological studies of people from faraway places. What do you see in here?
Well, it's great that we're being a little bit more introspective. That's always helpful. But I think that the Democrats have forgot that maybe we should just talk to people like people. We don't.
That's it. Simple talking. No need to study anything. Don't need to study a language. Just come out and talk. Listen to what people got to say and hear what they got to say. You know, there's an old saying. There's a reason why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen twice as much and speak less. If you're trying to earn back people's vote, I think that's what you might want to focus on. But hey, you know, again, that's a free tip right there. All right. Next time it's going to be a charge. $599.99 for 3 easy payments. For all my aged listeners, you know what I'm talking about with the 3 easy payments of whatever.
Studies on it. We don't need to meet at hotels. How about we just go to community meetings and meet people where they are on social media and their different forms and platforms that they are. But I think that the Democrats have forgot how to talk to normal people about things that are really important to them, like the economy. So it's I think a really good lesson to learn, but I also think we just need to get back to basics.
Yeah, I think, Basil, another very informative little phrase, and you're the academic here, but when you're trying to figure out the syntax, language, and content, are you getting ahead?
yeah, no, you're not. This is not, I really have no understanding what that is, because honestly, if somebody needed to come talk to me, just come talk to me. Actually, go find me and come and talk to me. Don't do it in a hotel. Don't study me like this is some academic exercise. That is exactly why we're not winning, because because Democrats have been accused of looking and sounding too elitist. That's a problem. And the truth, look, the reality is.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. You know what strikes me? Yeah. Because if you talk to some of these folks, and I can just tell you anecdotally, but you know, obviously there are lots of people doing focus groups on this. That these folks don't like Donald Trump. They don't want to vote for Donald Trump, and most of them won't vote for Donald Trump. But they don't have a darn good thing to say about the other side.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? When don't you start out ahead if they really dislike the other guys?
Well, you know, here's a good example. There's been a lot of conversation about what people knew about Joe Biden and when did they know it. To Meghan's point, if you actually go into communities and talk to voters, they're not asking about Joe Biden. They're asking, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And if if Democrats don't have an answer for that question, they're going to continue to lose support. Find answers, go into communities, actually amplify what neighborhood organizations.
And again, like I said, for those of you who've been listening, and I appreciate it, I'm straight down the middle of the aisle, right? And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, but what he just said is facts. You can't just maximize stuff that's non-important to citizens. Go out, listen to what they want, and if you want to learn the language and learn how to speak to people, speak what's important to them, right? Don't tell me about Mars. I don't care about Mars, but tell me something about the price for a grocery, the price for gas, the price for everyday thing that I'm going to be using. How are you going to have a meeting to gain rationale and understanding of reaching out to the average folks, whatever that is, right? Because we're all humans. So how are you going to reach out to the average folks when you're in luxury hotel? Half of the people you're trying to study or whatever can't even come there. Go to a grassroots. Go back to basics. But 4 easy payments.
We talked in the last segment about violence disruptors. Talk to those folks because they're in these streets. There are really good examples of how people have taught each other, ministered to each other, clothed and fed each other, because particularly in the African American community, we've always done that. So amplify those stories. But
Nice touch. Nice touch. We're going a little biblical there, but all right.
Instead, we're held up at hotels talking to each other.
Meghan, the Times also writes that Democrats have led, indeed, focus groups where voters are asked to name an animal that best describes the Democratic Party.
This has got to be a joke. I think they got a perfect animal already.
One man said, a deer in headlights. You stand there and you see the car coming, but you're going to stand there and get hit with it anyway. Changing perception, obviously, it's not a 1 month thing. It's not even a 1 year job. But what can Democrats do? Because midterms will be here before they know it.
Right. I mean, the Democrats didn't get into this place of one election cycle. It wasn't just 2024. This has been going on for many years. So I think it's going to take the Democrats time. But I do think that that Congress was very aligned on their messaging with the bill that was passed in the House. And I think that they are very aligned and they're out there and talking to their communities and their constituents. And I think they need to be aligned on that and continue to stay aligned on. They care about the economy. They care about keeping 14 million people with their health insurance, and the 18 million kids keep getting food. And I think that those are the things that the Democrats are aligned on. I think they need to continue to stay aligned on what's important to the American people and what's important to the moderates, and that is the economy. It's the cost of housing, the cost of education, the cost of groceries. Those are the things that impact everyday people. And, you're totally right. No one is talking about Joe Biden and who knew what when. They're talking about how much it is to pay for groceries and how they're going to get their kids to school every day. So it's just, we need to be more aligned with where people are who are actually voting and not what the DC bubble is.
Well, there you go. So what's your take? Is this $20 million a genius stroke, or is this just a desperate waste of money? Drop a comment, smash that like button, and share with someone who needs to see this. Until next time, stay informed and engage. And I'll catch you on the next Reaction Radar.